I wanted to learn more about the economic stimulus program. I had read about it, but I didn't feel I knew enough about it.
Congressman Braley, I want to especially thank you for calling this meeting to brief us on the pending stimulus program now before Congress and to seek our opinion on this landmark legislation. Congressman, let me say at the outset, I believe you've got it exactly right. Today, fixing our economy and putting Americans back to work must be the top priority of all who serve in government.
Thank you all for coming. I just am overwhelmed by the turnout, and thank all of you for taking times out of your busy days to come down and talk about this most important topic. My goals for this presentation for you are to accomplish three things. Number one is to explain to you what this bill does. Number two, to talk about why, in my opinion, we need to pass this bill. And three, what it's going to cost, because you, as taxpayers, deserve to know that.
My son's just going to lose his job at Alcoa. He had 15 years at Oscar Myers and left there to go to Alcoa, and then 2 years at Alcoa. Now he's going to lose a job at 36 years old. Where's he going to go?
This is the most important thing I want to share with you. What we're here to talk about today, this is our challenge. The challenge that we have to take the magic on the mall last week in Washington, D.C., and to somehow turn it into prosperity for all Americans. That's why we're here. This is not something that is going to be solved overnight. It involves the White House, to Congress, to the State House, to your county courthouses, to City Hall, and into your homes and businesses.
He did an excellent job with his PowerPoint presentation of explaining it, and I feel like I understand it a lot more.
There was a great suggestion made yesterday at the forum by a person who said, you know, we heard a lot during the inauguration speech about shared responsibility. And it's been a long time in this country since we really had a sense of shared sacrifice.
Then we got a congressman who's just enthusiastic that presented his viewpoint on what is going to happen, and he's let himself open, call my office, call my website, go on my website. I'm not going to hide something. I'm your congressman. That's the important thing.
Good morning, Donald Brome, Bettendorf, Iowa. One of my big concerns is the accountability. In the first funds that were allocated and spent, seems like the banking and the brokerage industry has been very unaccountable of what's happened. And particularly, there's been a lot of publicity, most recently on this Merrill Lynch Bank of America merger and the way the former CEO of Merrill Lynch squandered all kinds of money, including the payment of bonuses to employees who never should have received them, and how that caused the Bank of America to request more funds to complete that merger. I think some of these people should be prosecuted, brought to justice, and even jailed where the money recovered. I'll sit down and shut up now and let you answer that, but I encourage you to strongly push for that. This money has got to be accounted for.
Don't sit down, and I don't expect you to shut up, okay? Because you are not the only one who is frustrated and outraged by that.
I was quite interested in the amount of money that was spent on the first stimulus, and nothing happened. It didn't help the economy at all. So I wanted to see if there's checks and balances that they would investigate and see where this money is being spent.
There's a big misconception about Congress's enforcement authority. We are not the executive branch. We write laws, and we depend on the executive branch to enforce the laws. And when the executive branch includes the Treasury Department, you can imagine that there wasn't a lot of activity to force them to change their behavior. Now, what we did last week in the House is we came back and said that's not the intention of Congress. We want clawback provisions to go back and hold people accountable for misspending this money and making sure that it's making the impact it was supposed to for the American people.
Congress, we have another online question here. This one is from Mr. Harlan Pedretti, who's from LeClaire. I support the economic stimulus package that is currently being discussed. I would suggest that each state be given a fair share to help rebuild their bridges and highways.
Well, that is another great question, and I do have a specific answer to that. In Iowa, that proposed allocation is $463 million, which is about equivalent to 1 year of the Iowa DOT's budget. Now, here is a huge piece of the pie, and Mayor, I know this is going to be a very important part of what you'll be looking at. $90 billion allocated to infrastructure repairs and improvements. The goal is to create 1.8 million American jobs, $30 billion for highway and bridge construction, $4.5 billion for Corps of Engineers for environmental restoration, flood protection, and navigation, a little over $1 billion for Amtrak and passenger rail, including $300 million for intercity passenger rail grant fund. And we've talked about this before, and it's a huge priority of mine.
I would like to thank you for being here to talk to us.
I think that he demonstrated a strong command today of the information, and that was very appreciative, and it gives me confidence that we have a strong and competent representative here in the district.